Hi there, it's Lori with Co-Creating Impact and itstimesunshine.com. We're here with our good friend and co-creator, Anastacia. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So we're here to hear about your story and what tools and resources that you've used in times of stress. Let's hear all about you.
All right. So my name's Anastacia, and I have an amazing story that maybe will help somebody out there. When I was younger, I always knew I was different, that I didn't belong in my family. And as crazy as that might sound, I'm sure it happens more than, we think. But my father was a dark-skinned Mexican Indian. My mother was Italian German, and I look nothing like my father. I kind of look like my mom, but whatever. Anyway, I come from a very abused background. Sorry. Come from a very abused background. And sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
We're holding space for you. It's okay. It's okay to be not okay. Breathe through it.
My parents got divorced when I was about 4. They remarried very shortly after. And I used to ask my mom if my dad was really my dad. And, I would get smacked and told to shut up pretty much. When I was a little bit older, I would ask my dad, "Are you my dad? I don't feel like we are related." And my dad would say, "Well, if you weren't my daughter, would that change anything?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "And it wouldn't change me either. I'm still your dad." So I'm like, okay. Well, we lost communication for about 13 years and still living with my mom, still with the abuse. And it wasn't until I was 21 and legally out of the house at that point, I had asked him again. I said, "Dad, I would really like to ask you a question. I just feel it within my heart. Am I really your daughter?" And again, he said, "If I wasn't your father, would that change anything?" And I said, "No, you'd still be my dad." And he said, "And you would still be my daughter. But I feel that there's more out there than you should know." And that's where he left it. Well, 8 years ago, he was dying. We didn't talk for 13 years. And I flew out to California immediately, didn't even hesitate, packed up my stuff, rented a car, went up to go see him. And he was in the hospital. He went home with hospice. And that night, we were just holding each other and apologizing. "I'm sorry. Our relationship is the way it is." We were going, back and forth. And he had said, "There was a question you had asked me many years ago. Do you remember what that question was?" And I said, "No," because I have short-term memory loss. And he goes, "You had asked me if I was your dad." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "The answer is not going to change. I'm still your dad no matter what, but I do believe the answer is still out there." That was pretty much confirmation that he knew all this time, but he just wanted to make sure where my heart was. He passed away the following morning with a smile on his face, knowing that we rekindled, we were good. We were on good terms before he passed. Years and years pass. I'm now in my 20s, my 30s. I asked my mom again, was dad really my dad? And of course, it goes in one ear, comes out the other, and she brushes me off. Well, Ancestry DNA was a thing when it first came out. I really wasn't interested in it because, I come from an abused background. My mom was a narcissist. Didn't know what that word was till TikTok, actually. And I finally had the guts to do Ancestry DNA 3 years ago. And I was right. My dad wasn't my dad. So when the results came in, my world flipped upside down, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song, right? My life got turned upside down, and there was so much anger and betrayal and emotions and rage. And I wanted to just crawl into a cave and just take a hammer to the cave and just start beating it. Like, I was so angry. And when you do Ancestry DNA, it links you to a person you are mostly connected to. And that was this email that was connected to my name. And I emailed this person. I said who I was, who my parents' names are. I'm asking 200 questions. And this person emails me back with one answer. And I'm so enraged because I want answers. And email back 300 questions and I get back one answer. And at this point, this has now been 5 weeks of going back and forth and not getting anything. And so my husband, as supportive as he is of his psychotic wife at that point, did a lot of researching, a lot of really digging deep. And from the email, he came across an obituary. How this man did this, I don't know. The obituary was my Aunt Pat, who I never met. It was her obituary. And my husband starts to read off the names. He goes, well, maybe one of these names will actually help you. And then he read the name of my biological dad, and I said, cuss words, blah, 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 which I don't want to say on the podcast. I'm like, Bartender Bob is my dad? It was Bartender Bob. Literally, he was a bartender. His name is Bob, Bartender Bob. And I was like, I remember going to his house. I remember we had barbecues. I remember playing with his, like, St. Bernard. I remember playing with his daughter, who's my half-sister.
Wow.
And everything just, fireworks were going off. And I finally had some kind of sense of release. I was no longer angry. Now I just wanted questions. And so I got a hold of my aunt, who the email was connected to, and we were exchanging pictures. And I look like a triplet to my twin aunts. There's like a 30-year difference between us, but I looked like the long-lost triplet. I finally looked like somebody, because on my mom's side, I didn't look like anybody. On this side of the family, I actually looked like everybody. It was amazing. I looked like my dad. I just had more hair and I'm more prettier. But it was just amazing. It was amazing. And so I finally got in touch with everyone, and they were open arms since the very first day. And that's something that I never had growing up. And it was amazing to feel the love. And I finally met them. I met all of them like within 3 months. I flew up to Colorado. I met everybody. And I fit in. For the first time in my life, I finally fit in. And everyone came over and they're introducing themselves. Hi, I'm your aunt. Hi, I'm your uncle. Hi, I'm your cousin. Where have you been your whole life? Like, it was just, I just fit right in. And that was the first. But I'm just going to back it up a little bit. When I found out my results, it turned out I was actually not Mexican, Indian, Italian, and German. I was actually Norwegian, Irish, and Scottish. So to me, that tells me why I'm always in the mood to fight, right? Because Vikings, the Irish, and the Scots, right? Like, they're always in the mood to fight. There you go. That's me. So anyway, so I had all of my facts. I wanted to make sure I had everything lined up, my ducks in a row, before I called my mom, because I knew that phone call was going to be the last phone call I ever made to her. And I remember it was on April 1st of all days, April 1st, I called her and I said, we need to talk. And I told her, like, were you ever going to tell me that this person was my actual dad? And she said, no, I was never going to tell you. 42 years, and she was never going to tell me. And it just all went downhill at that point. And again, I never knew what the word narcissist was until I started going on TikTok. And that described her to the T. She was a gaslighter. She was a narcissist. She never wanted me to be happy. She always wanted me to be miserable because she was miserable. She never wanted me to be happy because she was never happy. And the fact that I was finally happy and I was finally at peace, she was clawing at the wall trying to find something to bring me down. And there was nothing that day that she could say that would bring me down. I was on cloud 9. And I finally told her, I said, you've lied to me for 42 years. You were never going to tell me. I don't want you in my life anymore. And she said, choose your next words wisely. And I said, there's nothing left to say. And I hung up. I want nothing to do with her anymore. My life has been so much more at peace. I have this amazing relationship now with my biological dad. We are extremely sarcastic together, which is nice because I'm a sarcastic person as well, and the first time we met after 38 years, it was like, he's much older now, of course. He's not the younger man who I remembered, but he's definitely aged. I'm still the prettier looking one. He the first time I saw him, he lives with my sister now, and the first time I saw him, I was in his chair, and he comes around the bathroom, kind of shuffling around the kitchen and over to his chair. I'm like, my God, it took you long enough. And he goes, who is that? I said, it's me, it's Anastacia. He goes, well, how long have you been here? I'm like, well, you've been in the bathroom for 2.5 hours. I've been here for 2.5 hours. He goes, oh my God. I mean, it was just amazing. We literally talk 3-4 times a week right now. He told me he had carried around a picture of me years old. That was the only picture he carried in his wallet, because the only picture he ever had. And so we have made really good memories since then. We have many more pictures now. And he's just this amazing person. When I also found out everything was a complete lie, I changed my name legally. My name was Lisa Ann. Now it's Anastacia. And Anastacia was always my Starbucks name for 20 years. You know, you go into Starbucks, they're like, oh, what is your name? And I would say Anastacia. So why not legally change it to Anastacia, you know?
Wow.
And,
so where did you go from there? Where do you go from there? So did you move? Were you in a different state?
I have lived in Arizona for 14 years now. My mom still lives in California, and I have not talked to her since that day. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. And so are my kids. My kids and my husband have been my biggest support and have seen me go through hell and back. Mm-hmm. So they have been amazing.
And so would you say that would have to be, excuse me, a huge impact on your life? Excuse me. So would you say that your finding out your real father and being with him has he been the biggest impact in your life? Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we joke, it's just nice to actually know now, like, more family history. I had thyroid cancer last year. And it's nice to know that actually ran very high on his side of the family. It's kind of nice to know a little bit more personal info about, you. So yeah, I mean, it has been amazing. I talk to everyone. I'm really close to my cousins, my aunts, my sister, my uncles. I mean, it's been amazing. Complete 360.
So let me ask you what resources and tools that you've used in times of stress in your life that has helped you.
Honestly, my family. Sorry. My family and my aunt who passed away of cancer. Sorry. My aunt was my rock. She died of triple negative cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. No, she was my rock. She was definitely my boulder. She definitely kept me grounded a lot. And I still know she's around me because she kind of throws things at me every now and then, But my aunt, my kids, my husband have been my biggest fans. I mean, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss. That it's devastating, and I understand it completely. And I'm really so sorry. I mean, I'm glad that you are able to see your family and be able to be around them in this time of loss too. It's very important. I want to ask you, what are the top 2 daily self-care essentials that you have in place for yourself?
I tell my kids every day that I love them. And that to me is extremely important because of the background I had. That is huge. And just to hear them tell it back to me out of the clear blue is what keeps me going every day. That I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Absolutely. What do you do for yourself?
Honestly, I just like to hang out with my family. I would be lost without them. you know.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you came on, Anastacia. You are an inspiration, and I very, very enjoyed our conversation. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.